this is Tariq Siddiqui and welcome to the Energy Forum series. In this series, we focus on issues and challenges faced by the energy industry, and today we will focus on Pakistan upstream oil and gas industry, the strategic perspective. The oil and gas industry is going through a transformational change since the turn of millennium. The events such as the shale revolution, the financial crisis, the Arab Spring, instability in Venezuela, digitalization, the downturn in the oil prices, and recently the turmoil in the Middle East are fundamentally changing the supply and demand patterns. The industry is fundamentally transitioning towards a different energy mix going into the future. The countries that are not going to quickly adapt to this transition and companies that are not agile enough to adopt their portfolios will likely suffer severe crisis and turmoil. So we need to look at Pakistan upstream oil and gas industry through this strategic lens. Pakistan is the sixth largest country in the world with a whopping population of 200 million. This puts a tremendous pressure on upstream oil and gas companies in Pakistan that provide nearly 80% of the primary energy needs. The energy sector in general and upstream oil and gas industry in particular face tremendous challenges that may have strategic consequences for the energy security in Pakistan. We look at some of these challenges in this program. First, Pakistan has a strong growth in GDP, about 4.5%, that correlates well with the energy demand growth in Pakistan. However, the hydrocarbon liquid reserves base is very small and gas reserve base is only modest. Therefore, oil and gas productions continue to decline. The hydrocarbon reserve replacement ratio is significantly less than 100%, which further diminishes the oil and gas reserves. Exploration focus of most of E&P companies is on mature basins, where the average discovery size is small. There is less focus on emerging basins that may be high risk, but may give a large discovery size. There is also a persisting problem of circular debt in the energy industry in Pakistan. This has hurt the balance sheets of the upstream companies and restricted their cash flow available for their portfolio growth. There is much to be desired to improve the governance in the public sector companies, but the privatization of public enterprise in Pakistan is very slow. Political and fiscal stability is also perceived to be low. That is further aggravated by the security situation in the country that does not nurture investor confidence. Under these circumstances, Pakistan's production growth and LNG import target seems achievable, but offers only a short-term solution that are not sustainable in the long term. The result is that substantial investment is needed to achieve strong growth in upstream sector, but is not forthcoming. Pakistan is a natural gas country where gas reserves are modest and provide a lot of production, nearly almost 51% of the primary energy need. The oil accounts for only 28% of the primary energy, but nearly 66% had to be imported, putting tremendous burden on the national exchequer, which could amount to about $1 billion per month at the time of high oil prices. Although there is a need for substitution to other primary energy sources, it is equally critical from energy security perspective to promote upstream oil and gas exploration and development in Pakistan. The extensive use of natural gas has put Pakistan ahead of several nations in terms of energy transition, whereby CO2 emissions have reduced by the use of natural gas that has halved the carbon footprint of coal. Substitution to natural gas is notable in power sector, cement industry and transportation sector that has switched to the compressed natural gas. Pakistan is ranked third in the CNG industry of the world with over 1.2 million vehicles using the natural gas. Pakistan has sixth largest reserves of coal, yet it accounts only for 7% in the energy mix. Coal is traditionally a fuel to the brick kiln industry in Pakistan, but recently cement factories that were originally oil-fired and newer factories that have switched to coal to be competitive and reduce their fuel costs. For Pakistan, it is imperative that it exploits its coal resources. In recent years, World Bank has committed to move away from financing power generation projects that are coal-fired, a move that may also influence the other Asian banks, making financing difficult. But for all practical purposes, coal power generation is likely to stay longer in South Asia than compared to Europe. Hydropower, being non-fossil fuel, accounts for only 13% in the total energy mix, but accounts for over 30% in the power generation sector. Pakistan is home to several rivers over which only few large dams have been built, but there is a room for significant growth in the hydropower in Pakistan. For strategic perspective and energy security, a political will is needed for this option. China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, CPEC, promised to bring a greater prosperity and security to the energy sector, with 75% or nearly 35 billion of funds committed being dedicated to power projects. This is expected to transform the energy sector, but equal focus is required on the upstream E&P industry to meet the energy demand and attract foreign investment other than CPEC. So we recap some of the observations and suggestions that could help the upstream E&P industry in Pakistan. First and foremost, the political risk, political instability and security risk are perceived to be very high, making Pakistan a high political risk country. Foreign direct investment, FDI, much needed FDI in E&P sector is not forthcoming, despite country having some world-class basins. Fiscal policy, it was revamped in 2012, is still perceived harsh by the IOCs and seems to favor the domestic companies and less favorable to IOCs. This needs to improve if foreign investment is to be attracted to overcome the political risk. Circular debt still persists. Balance sheets of upstream companies are being adversely affected due to the resulting lack of cash flow. The severely impact the aspired growth plans for the exploration and development portfolios of E&P companies. Therefore, government fuel subsidy must be completely phased out to eliminate circular debt. Privatization is slow. The well-known inefficiencies in public sector enterprises demands that swift privatization of upstream E&P companies whose reputation is being further tarnished by the institutional corruption and special interest group. Then the governance needs to improve as well. Two-tiered board of directors may help to improve the governance of the enterprise by balancing the external investment need for the growth and return, while internal corporate need to streamline strategy, operations, cash flow and profits. Lastly, they achieve energy security in short-term production growth and targets, and LNG imports may provide some short-term reprieve, but are not likely to eliminate prevailing gas shortages in the long term. In the short to medium term, oil and gas exploration and development needs to be promoted through foreign direct investment. In the long term, legislation and fiscal policies need to be introduced for exploitation of unconventional resources. Pakistan has large unconventional resource base, estimated at 10,000 TCF of shale gas resource and over 2 billion barrels of shale oil. This concludes this episode. I hope you enjoyed watching this. Thank you.